Hey, it's Sam from Pick Up Music. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play 156 chords. Now that's a lot of chords, don't worry, it's going to be easier than you think. I'm going to teach you a system of pretty much playing pretty much any chord. It's going to be pretty awesome, let's do it. So all of these chords are going to have an A root note. And if you haven't played a root note with your thumb, now you're going to learn it. And trust me, it's going to be worth it because it's going to open up a lot of chordal possibilities by using your thumb on the root note. So first of all, let's get the thumb. We're on the low E string, 5th fret. Reach over with your thumb. Notice how my wrist is quite flat here. It's not open like this. It's not too far forward. The thumb is just resting here like you're kind of hanging off your guitar. Nice and loose. All right, so the first chord you're going to learn is going to be an A major. So it's just 3 notes we're going to play here. We're going to skip the A string. We're going to play the ring finger here, 7th fret of the D string, and we're going to stack up the rest of our fingers. If this sounds a bit basic and easy for you, don't worry, it's going to get more complicated super soon. And this whole video, this whole lesson is about a concept. It's about theory and extending chords by changing just one note. Don't play the high E. So now we're going to change one note and it's going to be an A major 7. Now all of these chords you can swap out the root note. If you wanted to play it like that, you could. The thing about guitar is you want to play whatever feels easiest for you. Don't listen to me, don't listen to anyone. Figure it out for yourself, but I do recommend keeping your thumb on the root note for these first few chords. Now we're going to play an A dominant 7. So notice here, as we're onto our third chord, that there's just one note changing. First of all, it was here, then it was the 7th, and then it was down here to the dominant 7. So this is an A7 again, thumb root note, skip the A string, little triangle shape on top, super easy. And all these chords, as you learn them, I want you to move them up and down your guitar neck, just so you get familiar with the same shape but different root note. It also means that your hand isn't going to become fixed in one position. Your hand always needs to be loose and not grabbing and just squeezing your guitar. It needs to be quite loose, and that's going to allow you to move quite quickly and fluidly between chords. Sliding chords between chords is also super important because that's going to show that you're not gripping your chords too tightly. So the next chord is an A6, and you can see here that actually changed out. I'm not using my thumb any longer on the root note, I'm using my middle finger. So it's middle finger here, 5th fret, skip the A string, reach with your first finger here on the 4th fret. Pinky's going to play the 3rd, and then ring finger is up here. This is an A6 chord. This is a super common chord back in the day in early jazz and big band jazz. It would be an A6. It's a bit more of an open, friendly sound than your typical major chord. It's not used too often today, except in jazz and jazz-influenced pop music. So altogether, those first few chords, play them with me. A major 7, A7, A6. So songs like Norah Jones, Don't Know Why, Burt Bacharach and all those type of artists, well, you often hear that progression. But the thing about these chords, which I really want to stress, it's not about playing all these chords in A. You want to be able to move those same shapes throughout your guitar so you can pretty much play any chord. For example, I could get that A major shape and move it up here with the root note on the D, 10th fret. Same shape. And how about a C? Super colorful, super awesome, same shape. So these shapes which you're learning, they're going to unlock these hundreds of chords, these 156 chords which I mentioned. Now let's check out some dominant chords. Dominant chords all have a flat 7. So the flat 7 note which is going to be used throughout these chords is this note here. In the key of A, it's going to be a G note. Dominant chords always have a major 3rd as well. So the first chord we're going to learn is an A13. So the 13th is actually the same note as the 6th, but it has that dominant tonality because it has the flat 7th and the 3rd underneath the 6th, so it becomes a A13. Now we're going to flatten that 13, so it becomes an A7 flat 13. This chord is often used in minor keys. For example, let's say we're in the key of D minor. A7 flat 13 is going to sound really awesome leading back to that as the dominant chord in the key of D minor. So just play A7 flat 9 to a D minor. A7 flat 13. So now let's play an A7 sharp 11. There's a few different ways to play this. Don't worry too much about which finger is where. That's a great way to play it, or you can play it with your thumb. The most important thing is getting the notes and the sound in your head. Now that might sound a bit funky outside sound to you, but if you're getting into tritone substitutions and more jazz flavored music, dominant 7 sharp 11s are super helpful. Now we're going to play a major 7 sharp 11. A major 7 sharp 11. So we're not playing the low A and also not playing the high E string. So those were getting a little bit more complicated and advanced. Let's bring it back to some regular old minor chords. So this is an A minor 7. Now there's a lot of ways to use your fingers for this chord. You can do it like this, like this. You can bar the whole way across. I prefer this way, which is middle finger here, 5th fret of the low E, skip the A, and then we're going to do a mini bar. You might know this from an A chord down here, or a C chord like this. So it's a mini bar here, 5th fret, just 3 strings, 1, 2, 3. Don't play the high E. There's an A minor 7th chord. So this is an A minor 6. There's just one note different. We're going from the 7th, the flat 7th, to the 6th. By the way, quick bit of theory for your more intermediate guitar players. Both minor 7th chords and dominant 7th chords both have that flat 7th. The difference, though, is dominant 7th chords, like an A7, have this major 3rd, whereas minor 7th chords have the flat 3rd. Both chords have the flat 7th, it's just that 3rd which changes the chord quite drastically in the functional purpose of the chord from a major to a minor 7. Now, quite interesting is to note that the 6th is actually the same note between a minor and a dominant chord. So just up here where we played the A13th, that 13th note up there, the E note, oh sorry, the F sharp note, is actually the same note if we wanted to play an A minor 13. And just like you learned the A6, this note here is the 6th, we can actually play the A minor 6th, which is this chord here. Now we're going to change one note. There's going to be a bit more of an advanced lesson you're going to have to reach, so we're going to flatten that 13th, so it's an A minor 7 flat 13. Beautiful, one of my favorite chords out there. And you might note that this is quite similar to a D minor 9 chord, but it's got the 5th in the bass. There's different ways to think about chords as you get into more advanced shapes. So minor 7 flat chords are pretty important to know once you get into jazz. So this is an A minor 7 flat 5 chord. You can either play with your thumb on the root note or you can use your middle finger. Whatever feels most comfortable to you. A minor 7 flat 5. So now this might sound the same as the last chord, but it's different. This is an A diminished 7. Middle finger here, 5th fret of the low E, skip the A string. First finger is actually going to bar here. And then we have a ring finger here. And this bar is going to play this fretted 4th fret on the B string. A diminished 7. So what's really awesome about these chords, which you just learned, all in the key of A, obviously, you don't have to only play them in A, and now kind of a secret here is to move it up to a root note with D. So first of all, just get comfortable. Same shapes, just starting here on the 10th fret, thumb on the 10th fret. Make sure you feel comfortable with that. And now this is what it would sound like using both the A shapes and also some of the D shapes. This is going to kind of open up a lot of jazz R&B sounds just by using these simple shapes. So let's check it out. So what I did there, you should know all those shapes. A major 7, A7, A6. They moved up to D. 10th fret, did the same thing. D to D major 7, but this time I'm going to do a D minor 6. Remember, you learned that down here, but up here. So together. You can also put your pinky up here. To flat 13, you also learn this shape. So A13, A7 flat 13, back to D. And you also learn the minor 7 flat 5 and diminished chords, and these are super, super handy. So we're in the key of A. So you can use that diminished chord, any note which isn't in the A major scale, you can insert that diminished chord, so it'll look like this. Diminished chord, diminished chord. D's in the key, so I'm not going to do diminished chord. Diminished chord to the E minor. So diminished chords are great passing chords. So the minor 7 flat 5 chord, which you learned, this one here, remember that? We went. So you want to use that on the 7th in the key. So let's say we're in the key of A, we're rocking out. We would use it on a G sharp minor 7 flat 5. So that's the 7th of A. So let's say you're in the key of A, G sharp minor 7 flat 5. And now let's say we're in the key of C. Half a step below is B, so B minor 7 flat 5. Now the situation in which you would use a minor 7 flat 5 is usually in a 2-5-1 chord progression, which is very common in R&B, pop, and jazz. And what it means is it's kind of a turnaround where you're going 2, which leads to the 5, and that leads to a 1. In this instance, let's go back to A. It'll sound like this. So I'm going G sharp minor 7, the chord you learned, and that will go to a C sharp 7, C7 sharp 9, sorry, which goes to a F sharp minor 7. So as you can see, these simple chord shapes which you learned, just moving one finger each time, opens up practically every type of chord you could play with that root note on the 6th string. And you can see how we could apply that also to here, to a D note, which is the 4th of the key. In the next lesson in this masterclass, you're going to learn how to do the same thing starting from the 5th string root. So let's say we're in D. You can do the same thing. Same root note, different chord shape, and that's going to unlock every single chord on the 5th string. So thanks for checking out this lesson. Make sure you spend some time now. Pick a couple of chords that you want to learn. Take it nice and slow, and then practice combining chords, and then add in some theory. Make sure you check out our Chords Library Masterclass, and make sure you subscribe on YouTube if you haven't yet. Thanks, guys.